In our previous lives, our dorm roommates gave ourselves the graduation gift of climbing a snow-capped mountain. Li Xiaoxue, who came from a poor family, was extremely envious. Unable to afford climbing gear, she resorted to threatening us by cutting her wrist to force us to take her along. The three of us had no choice but to pool money together to buy her a set of equipment. However, halfway up the mountain, Li Xiaoxue spotted the boy she liked and deliberately left the group to go after him. By the time we managed to find her with great effort, she had already been abandoned and was suffering from severe hypothermia. After we rushed her to the hospital, she was admitted to the ICU. Her family accused us of taking her to participate in dangerous activities and forced us to pay the medical expenses. Unable to gather the money, her mother went berserk and trapped us inside the house, burning us alive. When I opened my eyes again, I was standing halfway up the mountain, with Li Xiaoxue beside me, her eyes gleaming. "Look at that handsome guy. TSK, the eldest sister from our dormitory immediately threw a punch. "Shut up, you hopeless romantic." To my surprise, it seemed I wasn't the only one. The eldest sister and the others had also been reborn. This time, we were going to change our fate. The burning sensation still lingered on every inch of my skin, and my throat felt clogged with scorching ash, aching sharply with each breath. I jerked my eyes open. Instead of the expected dark sea of flames, there was blinding sunlight and a howling cold wind. Beneath my feet was an uneven gravel path, and lifting my head, I could see snow-capped mountain peaks. The air was thin and carried a crisp, icy scent. Was this the mountainside of a snow-covered peak? I stiffly turned my neck. Standing beside me was someone wearing a familiar windbreaker, standing on tiptoe to peer into the distance. Their eyes were unnervingly bright, and they kept clicking their tongue in excitement. "Look at that handsome guy. His figure is amazing. I wish I could get his WeChat. It's Li Xiaoxue." In our previous life, it was right here that she saw that guy. No matter how much we tried to stop her, she insisted on leaving the group to chase after him, ending up severely hypothermic and in the ICU, and she dragged us down with her. Her family drove us to despair, and we perished in flames, the agony of being consumed by fire, the despair of suffocating in thick smoke, and the twisted face of her mother. All of it flooded my mind at once. I couldn't help trembling all over, gripping the trekking pole tightly with my hand. "Shut up, you lovesick fool." A sharp shout suddenly rang out, followed by a crisp slap sound. Li Xiaoxue was struck so hard she staggered and nearly fell to the ground. I froze for a moment, then looked up to see Su Yuan, the eldest sister of our dormitory. Her face was livid. Her eyes filled with a fierceness I had never seen before, her fists clenched tightly. Li Xiaoxue covered her face, her eyes wide with shock, shouting indignantly and angrily, "Su Yuan, are you crazy? How dare you hit me? How dare I?" Su Yuan sneered, taking a step forward to corner Li Xiaoxue, her voice brimming with suppressed rage. "Look around you. This is a snow mountain, not some playground for you to flirt with guys." At this point, Su Yuan suddenly paused, her gaze quickly sweeping over me and our two other roommates, Du Feifei and Han Xiao. My heart skipped a beat. Something was off about Big Sister's reaction. She's usually so gentle. I quickly glanced at Du Feifei and Han Xiao. Du Feifei didn't look well either, biting her lip tightly with her arms crossed and body slightly tense. Clearly, she'd remembered something too. Han Xiao went straight to Su Yuan's side, frowning at Li Xiaoxue as she said, "Li Xiaoxue, stop causing trouble. We're heading down the mountain right now. Go down the mountain." Li Xiaoxue raised her voice as if hearing a joke. "We're already halfway there. We'll reach the mountainside soon. Why go down now? Just because I glanced at a handsome guy, you're all making a mountain out of a molehill. Making a mountain out of a molehill." Su Yuan glared at her, her tone even colder. "We can't climb this mountain today. We must go down. Not a single person can stay." "No." Li Xiaoxue stiffened her neck, taking a step back, her face full of resistance. "I finally made it to this snowy mountain. Why should we go down just because you say so? You're all deliberately targeting me." "Targeting you?" Du Feifei finally couldn't hold back, her voice trembling slightly but firm. "Li Xiaoxue, I'm afraid you'll get us all killed." "Kill you?" Li Xiaoxue interrupted her, her eyes filled with confusion. What's wrong with all of you today? You're acting so weird. I don't care. I'm not going down the mountain. If you want to leave, go ahead." With that, Li Xiaoxue turned and started walking up the mountain, clearly still intent on chasing after that handsome guy. Su Yuan reacted swiftly, grabbing her arm with such force that Li Xiaoxue cried out in pain, trying to leave. "No way." Su Yuan's voice was as cold as ice. "Today, you either come down the mountain with us, or you write a signed statement, clear as day, that you voluntarily left the group after that. No matter what happens, it has nothing to do with us or the school." Li Xiaoxue froze for a moment, clearly not expecting Su Yuan to pull this move. She struggled to shake off Su Yuan's grip, shouting, "Why should I write a pledge? You're just bullying me, bullying you." Han Xiao pulled out a small notebook from her backpack and thrust it in front of Li Xiaoxue. "We're giving you a chance. If you insist on staying, don't expect us to clean up your mess when something happens. That's right. You'll also need to call your parents and school to prove it was your own decision to stay on the mountain. Nothing to do with us." Li Xiaoxue's expression finally changed. She looked at our three serious faces, then at the pen and paper handed to her, a flicker of panic flashing in her eyes. She probably sensed that something was off with us today. Unlike before when we would indulge her, "I won't write it." Li Xiaoxue remained stubborn, but her voice noticeably weakened. "You just don't want to take me hiking and are making excuses. Whether it's an excuse or not, you know the truth." Su Yuan released her arm, her tone leaving no room for argument. "You have 10 minutes to decide. Either come down the mountain with us or write the pledge. After 10 minutes, we're leaving, no matter what you choose." Having said that, Su Yuan didn't look at Li Xiaoxue anymore and turned to us, saying, "Pack your things, we're heading down the mountain, Du Feifei, Han Xiao." And I quickly nodded and started packing our backpacks. Before climbing the mountain, Li Xiaoxue had been lazy, using the excuse that her physical strength wasn't as good as ours, and made us carry all the supplies. She wouldn't get far descending the mountain either. And after such an argument, the handsome guy had long since disappeared from sight. She stood frozen in place, her face alternating between pale and flushed, glancing at us one moment and then toward the mountain the next, clearly wrestling with herself. 10 minutes passed quickly. Su Yuan checked her watch and asked Li Xiaoxue, "Made up your mind? Which will you choose?" Li Xiaoxue bit her lip, clenched her fists, and finally said reluctantly, "I'll go down the mountain with you." She probably also understood that if she really wrote a guarantee, and something actually happened afterward, no one would be able to help her. Moreover, alone in the snowy mountains, she didn't dare to actually stay behind. Su Yuan didn't say anything more, just coldly uttered, "Follow." Our group began descending the mountain. Along the way, Li Xiaoxue trailed unhappily at the back, occasionally glaring at us and muttering something under her breath, probably cursing us. I didn't have the heart to pay attention to her, still stunned by the fact of my rebirth. Turns out I wasn't the only one who had been reborn. My eldest sister, Du Feifei, and Han Xiao all remembered their past lives too. The descent felt unusually heavy, the cold wind whipping against my face. Yet unable to disperse the flood of memories swirling in my mind, why had the three of us been so bewitched in our past lives, insisting on bringing Li Xiaoxue along to climb this snowy mountain? Who was it that first suggested climbing a snow-capped mountain for our graduation trip? Du Feifei suddenly spoke up, her voice scattered by the wind. I paused for a moment, slowing my steps. "I think it was Han Xiao. You said you wanted to challenge yourself before graduation and that the money we'd saved from part-time jobs was just enough." Han Xiao sighed and kicked a small pebble at her feet. "If I'd known it would turn out like this, I'd rather have spent half a month lying on a beach." Su Yuan tightened her grip on her trekking pole and said bitterly, "Do you remember how Li Xiaoxue cried to us back then?" The moment these words were spoken, scenes from my past life instantly became as vivid as if they were right before my eyes. Back then, there was still a month left before graduation. The three of us were flipping through travel guides in our dorm room, with our hard-earned money spread out on the table. I had worked part-time at a milk tea shop for half a year. Du Feifei had earned manuscript fees by ghostwriting papers for others, and Han Xiao had worked as a supermarket promoter. Together, we had just enough money to cover the expenses for 4 people to climb a snow-capped mountain. You're going to climb a snow-capped mountain? Li Xiaoxue walked in holding a freshly made cup of instant noodles. Seeing the travel guides on our table, her eyes lit up instantly, but within seconds, her face fell again. That's so nice. I've never seen a real snow-capped mountain in my life. The 3 of us exchanged glances but didn't respond. Li Xiaoxue came from a poor family and had applied for financial aid, but she was also lazy. She always complained that part-time jobs were exhausting and preferred lying in her dorm scrolling through her phone. Never having any spare money, for the next week, Li Xiaoxue couldn't stop sighing. During meals, she would stir the free soup in the cafeteria, eyeing the meat in our bowls. Sigh, if only I could go to the snowy mountains, I'd take so many photos to show my folks back home. But alas, that's just not my fate. At night, as we packed our luggage in the dorm, she sat on the edge of her bed knitting a scarf. Tears fell as she knitted. Do you all think I'm too poor to tag along? I know I don't have money, but I really want to go. Can't you just take pity on me? I watched her tears fall and felt my heart soften a little. It's not that I don't want to take you. But climbing snowy mountains costs money, and the equipment isn't cheap either. I can make do with the equipment. Li Xiaoxue quickly wiped away her tears. I can wear my dad's old jacket, and the shoes will do too, as long as I can go with you guys. Du Feifei frowned. That won't do, the snowy mountains are too cold. An old jacket won't keep you warm at all, it could be dangerous. I knew it. No one in this world cares about me. That night, Li Xiaoxue made 3 cuts on her wrist. And we took her to the infirmary. The doctor solemnly told us, "Student Li Xiaoxue shows signs of depression. Please try not to provoke her." We were all kids who hadn't experienced much hardship, and we were terrified by her actions, feeling guilty as well. That night, the 3 of us lay under our blankets, whispering as we discussed what to do. What if something really happens to her? We'd be the ones to blame. I poked Han Xiao on the upper bunk. Han Xiao rolled over. But the equipment costs aren't small. Our money is just enough for 4 people's travel and tickets. Buying another set of gear would put us over budget. Su Yuan sighed from the opposite bed. I think she's quite pitiful too. After all, we've shared a dorm for 4 years. Should we try pooling more money? I can still pick up a few extra shifts this month. And so, the 3 of us worked extra shifts for another half month. I went to the milk tea shop an hour earlier every day. Du Feifei stayed up late to take on 2 more thesis papers, and Han Xiao worked 2 extra weekend shifts. Finally, we scraped together enough money to buy Li Xiaoxue a set of hiking gear, a windbreaker, hiking boots, and thermal underwear. Li Xiaoxue, I bought this gear for you. Try it on and see if it fits. When Su Yuan handed her the gear, Li Xiaoxue jumped for joy, clutching it eagerly as she rushed to try it on. It fits perfectly. Thank you so much. She twirled around in the windbreaker, her eyes crinkling with laughter. I knew you guys were the best. When I have money someday, I'll definitely pay you back double. At the time, the 3 of us were quite happy, thinking we'd helped our roommate out, something nice to look back on someday. But now, looking back, we weren't helping her at all. We were just pushing ourselves into a pit of fire. On the day of the hike, Li Xiaoxue was quite excited at first, chattering away as she followed behind us. But it didn't take long before she started complaining about being tired. My stamina isn't great, and this backpack is too heavy. Could you help carry it for me? She handed me the backpack filled with supplies. Seeing that her face was indeed a bit pale, I took it. All right, walk without it for now. We can switch back once you've recovered your energy. But once she handed it over, she never took it back. She always had excuses. Her feet hurt. She was dizzy. She couldn't catch her breath, until finally, she just trailed at the back of the group, slowing her pace considerably. It wasn't until we reached the mountainside that we spotted the group of boys. Li Xiaoxue's eyes instantly lit up, as if she'd been injected with adrenaline. She stopped complaining about being tired and quickened her steps to get closer to them. Hey, are you guys here to climb the snowy mountain too? She asked the lead boy with a sickly sweet voice, smiling. It's my first time, and I don't know much. Could you show me the ropes? The boy glanced at her, smiled, and nodded. Sure. It'll be more fun walking together. Li Xiaoxue, don't go with them. Su Yuan quickly called out to her. "We're together. It's too dangerous to go with strangers." Li Xiaoxue turned back and waved dismissively. "It's fine. They don't seem like bad people. I'll walk with them for a bit and catch up with you later." "No, it's easy to get lost in the mountains. You can't leave the group," I also shouted, trying to step forward and pull her back. But she had already followed the group of boys into the distance. The three of us had no choice but to wait where we were, but after nearly an hour, she still hadn't returned. "We can't just wait here. We have to go look for her." Su Yuan took out her phone to call her, but the signal in the mountains was too weak. The call wouldn't go through. Just as we were about to set out to find her, Han Xiao's phone suddenly rang. It was Li Xiaoxue calling. "Hello, Li Xiaoxue. Where are you?" Han Xiao answered the call immediately. A tearful voice came from the other end of the phone. "Han Xiao, I'm lost. Those boys abandoned me, and now I don't know where I am. Everything around looks the same. And I don't recognize anything. I'm so cold." "Don't panic," Han Xiao quickly reassured her. "Can you see anything distinctive around you, like a particularly tall tree or a rock?" I don't know." Li Xiaoxue cried even harder. "I'm so scared. I twisted my ankle and can't walk. Please come and save me." The three of us didn't hesitate and immediately headed in the general direction she described over the phone. After searching for nearly 2 hours, we finally found her under a large rock. She curled up into a ball, her face deathly pale, lips purple from the cold, her windbreaker wide open without even zipping it up. "Li Xiaoxue." I rushed over immediately and helped her up. "Why did you leave your jacket open? Don't you know it's freezing?" She was dazed, her gaze unfocused. "I was hot. I sweated while running earlier." Su Yuan touched her forehead and suddenly changed expression. "This is bad. She's hypothermic. Quick, zip up her clothes. We need to get her down the mountain to the hospital." The three of us took turns carrying her, trudging down the mountain with unsteady steps. She wasn't light, and we were drenched in sweat, but none of us dared to stop. We all knew how dangerous hypothermia could be in the snowy mountains. After finally descending, we flagged down a car and rushed her to the hospital. The doctor said if we'd been half an hour later, she wouldn't have made it, and she was immediately sent to the ICU. "Doctor, how is she now?" I grabbed the doctor's arm, frantic with worry. The doctor frowned. "She's still in critical condition. The situation isn't good. We need the medical fees immediately. Pay 50,000 first." 50,000 yuan was no small amount for the three of us. We'd basically spent all our money on the trip. "I'll go ask my parents." Han Xiao pulled out her phone. "Let's save her first. We'll figure the rest out later." Su Yuan and I also hurriedly contacted our families. Barely managing to scrape together 50,000 yuan to pay, at that time, we were still thinking that as long as Li Xiaoxue could recover, we could slowly repay the money later. But we never imagined that those 50,000 yuan would only be the beginning of the nightmare. More than 10 of Li Xiaoxue's family members came and blocked us at the ICU entrance. "So it's you three who took our Xiaoxue to climb the snowy mountain?" A man wearing a floral shirt rushed forward, pointing at our noses and yelling, "Are you out of your minds? How could you just casually go to a place like that? Now you've landed our Xiaoxue in the ICU. What are you going to do about it?" I froze for a moment, then quickly explained, "Uncle, we didn't mean to." Li Xiaoxue got separated from the group on her own. That's how the accident happened. Bullshit. Li Xiaoxue's mother suddenly rushed over, grabbed my hair, and slammed me against the wall. "My Xiaoxue is such a well-behaved girl. How could she have gotten separated on her own? You must have forced her. You were jealous of her and deliberately led her into danger. Auntie, please don't resort to violence." Su Yuan hurried over to pull her away. "Let's talk this through calmly. We've already paid 50,000 yuan in medical fees. The most important thing now is to ensure Li Xiaoxue gets proper treatment. You think 50,000 yuan is enough to shut us up?" Li Xiaoxue's mother shook off Su Yuan's hand, spraying us with spit as she yelled, "If anything happens to my Xiaoxue, the three of you will have to sell your blood and kidneys to cover the medical bills. And if she ends up with any lasting effects, you'll be supporting her for the rest of her life." Du Feifei trembled with anger. "Auntie, can you be reasonable? It was Li Xiaoxue who left the group and went off with others. We did our best to save her." Why should we support her for the rest of our lives? Reasonable. What reason do I have to be with you? Li Xiaoshue's mother suddenly sat on the ground, slapping her thighs and crying. My Xiaoxue is a college student. She was supposed to become a white-collar worker. Now she's been ruined by you. All my hopes for this life are gone. If you don't give us money, I'll go make a scene at the school, at the education bureau. I'll let everyone know you three are murderers. Hearing this, the three of us were stunned. Murderers? We tried our best to save her. How did we become murderers? What surprised us even more was that Li Xiaoshue's family actually went to the school to make a scene. They blocked the school gate with banners that read, "College student maliciously leads classmates into danger, putting lives at risk," and even brought reporters to interview them, stirring up a huge controversy. To quell the public outcry, the school called the three of us in for a talk. How could you organize such a dangerous activity without permission? The advisor frowned, speaking sternly. Now that this has blown up, the school's reputation has been ruined because of you. The school has decided to expel all three of you. Expel? I couldn't believe my ears. Teacher, it wasn't our fault. Li Xiaoxue left the group on her own. What's the use of saying all this now? The counselor interrupted me. Her parents have been making a scene every day. And the school has no choice. Pack your things and leave immediately. Don't cause any more trouble for the school. The three of us stood at the school gate, holding our expulsion notices, our bodies numb with shock, too afraid to tell our parents and worry them. We secretly rented a small apartment outside, hoping to figure things out once the storm had passed, but Li Xiaoshue's mother had no intention of letting us off the hook. The day we had just returned to our rented place, we saw her standing at the door, holding a plastic bucket in her hand, trying to hide. "Did you think I wouldn't find you?" she sneered. Her eyes filled with malice. "Xiaoxue has already stopped her medication because we're out of money. Auntie, we really don't have any money left. Please give us a little more time." Su Yuan tried to negotiate with her. "Time? Haven't I given you enough time already?" Suddenly, she overturned the plastic bucket onto the ground, and the pungent smell of gasoline instantly filled the air. "If you don't hand over the money today, we'll all die together." The three of us turned deathly pale with fear and tried to run for the door, but she had already rushed forward and locked it. "Open the door, open it now." Han Xiao pounded on the door, shouting hysterically. Li Xiaoshue's mother held a lighter, her face twisted into a grotesque smile. "Open the door. I think you'd better save your breath. My Xiaoxue is lying in the hospital. Why should you get to live happily? Today, I'll burn you all to death as payback for my Xiaoxue. You're insane. Li Xiaoxue is still in the hospital. If you burn us to death, who will pay her medical bills?" I tried to reason with her. "Medical expenses." She laughed even more manically. "I don't care. You harmed my daughter. So you deserve to die. Even if I go to prison, I'll drag you all down with me." She raised the lighter, and the flame shot up with a whoosh. The gasoline ignited instantly, erupting into raging flames that engulfed us in a wave of scorching heat. "Help! Help!" Du Feifei screamed, desperately searching for an escape. But the room was consumed by fire. There was nowhere to hide, choked by thick smoke and searing pain from the flames licking at my skin. I stared at Li Xiaoshue's mother's frenzied face, overwhelmed by endless regret. If only I hadn't softened and taken her to climb the snowy mountain. If only we hadn't pooled money to buy her gear, would things have turned out differently today? I'm so filled with hatred. This was my last thought before losing consciousness. Just thinking about the outcome of my previous life sends chills down my spine. Fortunately, we've both returned, and thankfully, there's still time to change everything. After walking for roughly over 2 hours, we finally descended the mountain and returned to the homestay where we'd been staying. As soon as we entered the homestay, Su Yuan took out her phone to book tickets, determined to send this jinx away no matter what. She couldn't be allowed to cause any more harm. "This is your bus ticket back to school tomorrow morning. You're leaving tomorrow." Su Yuan's tone left no room for negotiation. Li Xiaoxue exploded instantly. "Su Yuan, you're going too far. What gives you the right to make me leave? Didn't we agree to stay and have fun here for a few more days?" "Agreement." Su Yuan looked at her, her eyes devoid of any warmth. "That mountain climbing gear set. You'll have to return it too. It was bought with our money. and there's no reason for you to keep it, you people." Li Xiaoxue trembled with anger, pointing at us. "You're just looking down on me. You think my family isn't well off, so you treat me like this. It's just a set of gear. Isn't it? I'll pay you back the money someday." "No need," Han Xiao spoke up. "We're not short on money. We just don't want any further involvement with you. Go get the equipment now. We're leaving first thing tomorrow morning. You should start packing too. Don't waste any more of our time." Li Xiaoxue looked at our resolute expressions one by one and realized we were serious. She clenched her teeth, tears welling up in her eyes, then turned and ran to her room. Slamming the door shut with a loud bang, none of us spoke another word, and the house fell into complete silence. Su Yuan took a deep breath and said to us, "Everyone, stay alert tonight. Don't let anything go wrong again. We'll leave tomorrow morning, and from now on, never contact Li Xiaoxue again. Du Feifei." Han Xiao and I all nodded in agreement. The tragedy of our past life will never be repeated in this life. We will live well and never let ourselves fall into an irredeemable abyss because of Li Xiaoxue again. Early the next morning, just as dawn was breaking, I was awakened by the chirping of birds outside the window. The thought of finally getting rid of Li Xiaoxue today and continuing our graduation trip filled me with relief, easing even the fatigue from last night's poor sleep. "Hurry up and pack. Let's leave early today and try to reach the viewing platform by noon." Su Yuan's voice came from outside the door, tinged with excitement. I quickly got up, finished washing up, and went to knock on Du Feifei and Han Xiao's doors. The three of us packed our belongings, but there was no movement from Li Xiaoxue's side. No idea whether she had left or not. Li Xiaoxue's room door was tightly shut, and on the floor in front of it lay the set of windbreakers and hiking shoes we had bought for her earlier. The gear was covered in dust, clearly tossed there carelessly, and even stomped on viciously. What unsettled us even more was the crooked death symbol scrawled on the door in lipstick. The bright red color stood out starkly against the pale wooden door, as if silently cursing us. "That Li Xiaoxue, she's truly vicious." Han Xiao frowned, her voice brimming with anger. "Even after leaving, she can't let things be, pulling this kind of nonsense." Du Feifei also felt a bit scared and tugged at my arm. Could she have gone to find someone to retaliate against us? Su Yuan stepped forward and pushed Li Xiaoxue's door, finding it slightly ajar. It opened with just a push. The room was empty, with the blanket thrown on the floor. A used lipstick, Du Feifei's, was left on the table. No one knew when Li Xiaoxue had taken it. Li Xiaoxue had long since disappeared without a trace. She must have left. Su Yuan checked the room thoroughly and sighed in relief. If she really wanted to cause trouble for us, she wouldn't have left her gear behind. Probably felt too embarrassed and left overnight. I looked at the equipment on the floor and then at the death mark on the door. Though I still felt a bit uneasy, I was mostly relieved. No matter what, Li Xiaoxue had finally disappeared from our sight. Forget about her. Let's hurry and leave. Don't let her ruin our mood. Su Yuan picked up the gear from the floor and stuffed it into the bag provided by the homestay owner. "This equipment is useless to us anyway. We'll donate it to charity once we're down the mountain." The three of us picked up our luggage, settled the bill with the homestay owner, and set off toward the snow-capped mountains. Without Li Xiaoxue as a burden, our steps became noticeably lighter. We chatted and laughed along the way, and the heaviness brought by rebirth and memories gradually faded. After walking for about an hour, we finally reached the foot of the mountain. Just as we were about to buy tickets to enter the mountains, a familiar figure suddenly appeared in our sight. "Isn't that Li Xiaoxue?" Du Feifei pointed at a group of people not far away, her voice full of surprise. I followed the direction she pointed and saw Li Xiaoxue standing with a few men who appeared to be in their 40s. The men wore garish jackets, their hair greasy, with lecherous smiles on their faces. Li Xiaoxue nestled beside a slightly overweight man, holding a brand new phone in her hand, laughing so hard she trembled. Completely different from the pitiful demeanor she had shown us before. How could she be with these people? Han Xiao frowned, his voice filled with confusion. The three of us instinctively ducked aside, eager to hear what they were saying. "Xiaoxue, you're really something. Last night you took such good care of me, and today I'll take you climbing the snowy mountains." How about that? The slightly chubby man had his arm around Li Xiaoshua's waist, his hands wandering restlessly over her body, his eyes filled with lecherous intent. Li Xiaoshua giggled and playfully swatted his hand away, her tone laced with a hint of pride. Of course, don't worry, big brother, from now on, as long as you take me out to have fun, I promise I'll make sure you're happy, unlike those 3 rigid women before, trying to control me, stopping me from hanging out with handsome guys. Now they've got no choice but to watch me find my own way, right? Oh, there's such a thing. Another tall, thin man leaned over and said with a smile, you have 3 sisters, call them over to join the fun. Li Xiaoshua snorted disdainfully upon hearing this. They're just jealous of me. Before, they pretended to be kind and bought me equipment, but really, they looked down on me for being poor, and now, I don't need them. I can climb snowy mountains just fine on my own. And it's way more fun hanging out with all you brothers than with them. Ha ha ha, Xiaoshua really knows what's up. The slightly chubby man burst into laughter, reaching out to pinch Li Xiaoshua's cheek. When we get back tonight, Big Bro will buy you a new bag so you can show off properly in front of those 3 women. The 3 of us hid behind the trees, trembling with anger. It turns out Li Xiaoshua never left last night. She was hanging out with these men all along. Even stooping to such shameless acts just to climb the mountain, and to think we actually felt sorry for her before. What a joke, I can't take this. I'm going to give her a piece of my mind, Han Xiao blurted, about to storm out, but Su Yuan grabbed her arm. Don't be rash, Su Yuan hissed. What good would confronting her do now? She won't listen. She might even turn on us. Let's not stoop to her level, we should just head into the mountains and stay far away from her. Du Feifei and I quickly tried to calm Han Xiao down, and she finally suppressed her anger, shooting Li Xiaoshua a resentful glare. The 3 of us straightened our clothes and were about to go buy tickets when, unexpectedly, those men noticed us. Well, look, there are 3 more beauties here. The tall, skinny man's eyes lit up as soon as he saw us. He pushed Li Xiaoshua aside and walked toward us. Ladies, here for the snow mountain climb too, why not join us? We've got experience and can protect you. As he spoke, he reached out to grab my arm, his lecherous gaze utterly disgusting. Get lost, don't touch her. Su Yuan stepped in front of me, glaring coldly at him. Oh, quite feisty, aren't we? Cut the act, your classmates already told us you're no saints. Other guys pay us in full upfront. Come join us. The slightly chubby man also approached, eyeing us up and down with a smirk. Stick with us. And we'll make sure you have fun today. No need to pay for tickets yourselves. Sounds great, doesn't it? Li Xiaoshua followed suit, crossing her arms as she stood beside the men, her eyes brimming with schadenfreude. I'd advise you to just go along with my buddies here. They're really good, unlike you lot, who couldn't even climb a damn mountain properly. Li Xiaoshua, shut your mouth. Du Feifei's face flushed with anger. You've got no shame. But don't drag us into your filth. I don't know shame, Li Xiaoshua sneered. I call this being smart, unlike you lot, so rigid, only knowing how to work yourselves to death. Besides, my brothers are willing to hang out with me and spend money on me. That's my skill, you can't envy your way into that. The tall, skinny man's expression darkened instantly when he saw we wouldn't compromise. He reached out to grab Su Yuan's arm. You're refusing a favor, huh? Today, whether you want to or not, you're coming with us. Just then, a clear voice suddenly rang out. What are you doing, bullying girls in broad daylight? What kind of skill is that? We turned toward the voice and saw a group of young men dressed in professional hiking gear approaching. The one leading them was tall and handsome, his features sharp, his eyes full of righteousness. The boys behind him also wore angry expressions, glaring intently at those sleazy men. Who the hell are you? Mind your own business. The slightly overweight man shouted with false bravado. The leading boy sneered and stepped forward, shielding us. Who we are doesn't matter. What matters is your behavior just now constitutes harassment. I suggest you leave now, or we'll call the police. Seeing they were outnumbered and facing tough opponents, the men instantly paled. They exchanged glances, not daring to say another word, and turned to leave. Brothers, don't go. Li Xiaoshua quickly grabbed the slightly chubby man's arm. There are only 3 of them, we're not afraid. The slightly chubby man impatiently shook off her hand. Stop making trouble, can't you see they outnumber us? Let's get out of here. With that, they walked away without looking back, leaving Li Xiaoxue standing alone. Li Xiaoxue stood rooted to the spot. Her face alternating between pale and flushed, she glanced at us, then at the departing men, her eyes filled with resentment and anger. Clenching her teeth, she chased after them. The leader of the group turned to look at us and asked gently, "Are you guys okay? Did we scare you just now?" "We're fine, thank you," Su Yuan said gratefully. "We wouldn't have known what to do without you." "Don't mention it, it's only right to help those in need," the young man replied with a smile. "Are you here to climb the snow mountain too? If you don't mind, we could go together. It's always good to have company." The three of us exchanged glances, each seeing hesitation in the other's eyes. Originally, we had planned to continue climbing the snowy mountain, but after what just happened and with Li Xiaoxue here, we were no longer in the mood to go on. "No, thank you for your kindness." Su Yuan shook her head. "Something came up suddenly, and we'd like to change our plans. We won't be climbing the mountain anymore." "I see, that's a shame," the young man said regretfully. "Well, stay safe on your journey, and feel free to reach out if you need anything." We nodded, bid them farewell, and turned to walk back. "Where should we go now?" Du Feifei asked. Su Yuan thought for a moment and said with a smile, "Since we're not climbing the snowy mountain anymore, let's go to the beach. Didn't Han Xiao mention wanting to lie on the beach for half a month? Let's head there, relax properly, and forget all the unpleasantness from before." "Great, I've been wanting to go to the beach for ages," Han Xiao exclaimed excitedly. I nodded as well, feeling a wave of relief wash over me. No matter what happens to Li Xiaoxue in the future, it has nothing to do with us anymore. In this lifetime, we'll live for ourselves and truly enjoy our graduation trip. Never again will we compromise our happiness for anyone else. Those 2 weeks by the sea were the most carefree days I've had since my rebirth. The salty sea breeze brushed against our cheeks as we walked barefoot on the soft sand, watching the waves roll ashore time and again, washing away all the previous depression and fear. The three of us rented a seaside homestay with an ocean view. Every morning we'd watch the sunrise together, stroll along the beach collecting shells in the morning, spend afternoons either playing cards at the homestay or exploring nearby snack streets, and sit on the sand chatting and stargazing at night. Han Xiao even tried beachcombing like the locals. Though she didn't gather much, she laughed like a child throughout. "If only we could stay here forever," Du Feifei sighed contentedly, lying on a beach chair wearing sunglasses and holding a chilled coconut drink. Su Yuan patted her shoulder with a smile and said, "When we start working in the future, let's come here every year." Watching the two of them, my heart was filled with warmth. In my previous life, if it hadn't been for Li Xiaoxue, our graduation trip would have been this relaxed and joyful. In this life, we've finally reclaimed the happiness that was rightfully ours. Half a month passed quickly. We packed our luggage and reluctantly left the seaside, returning to school. As soon as I stepped onto campus, I sensed something was off. Students along the way were whispering among themselves, occasionally glancing our way with curious and probing looks. "Why are they all staring at us like that?" Han Xiao frowned, tugging at her clothes uncomfortably. Su Yuan also noticed something unusual. "Maybe something happened at school. Let's head back to the dorm first and talk there." We quickened our pace toward the dormitory, and just as we reached the entrance of the dorm building, we overheard a few girls whispering among themselves. "Did you hear? Li Xiaoxue got into trouble." "Really? What happened to her?" "Apparently, she had an accident while diving at the beach and is still in the hospital fighting for her life." "Huh, how could this be? Didn't they say she went mountain climbing in the snow with her roommate before?" "Who knows? I'm not too clear about the specifics either." Hearing the words Li Xiaoxue had an accident, the three of us stopped in our tracks and exchanged glances. How could she go diving? My heart skipped a beat. In the previous life, Li Xiaoxue had an accident in the mountains. How did it turn into diving this time? Su Yuan's expression darkened. "No matter what happens to her, it has nothing to do with us. Let's not care about what others say. Let's just go back to the dorm first." As soon as we reached the dormitory door, we saw a familiar figure blocking the entrance. It was Li Xiaoxue's mother. She was dressed in old clothes, her hair was disheveled, and her eyes were red and swollen. When she saw the three of us, it was as if she had spotted a lifeline. She rushed over immediately. "You're finally back. Give me back my daughter." She grabbed my arm, her nails almost digging into my flesh, and shouted hoarsely, "It's all your fault. If you hadn't abandoned her back then, how could she have gotten into trouble while diving? You must pay for her medical expenses." Passing classmates gathered around, pointing and whispering about us. "Let go of me first." I tried hard to shake off her grip. Her decision to go diving was her own business. What does it have to do with us? She's an adult, capable of making her own choices. No connection. How can you say that? Li Xiaoshua's mother threw a tantrum, sitting on the ground and wailing loudly. "My daughter went out with you. You abandoned her. And that's why she got into danger. If you don't pay the medical bills, I won't leave. I'll make sure everyone knows how you bullied my daughter." Han Xiao turned pale with anger and stepped forward to argue with her, but Su Yuan stopped him. Su Yuan squatted down and looked coldly at Li Xiaoshua's mother. "Stop making unreasonable trouble here. She was the one who didn't want to stay with us, threw away the equipment we bought for her, and ran off overnight with another man. Didn't you know any of this?" "I don't know. All I know is my daughter went out with you, so you're responsible." Li Xiaoshua's mother refused to listen and continued to wail on the ground. Just then, Du Feifei took out her phone from her bag, opened a video, and held it in front of Li Xiaoshua's mother. "See for yourself. This was filmed at the foot of the snow mountain. Take a look at what your daughter was really up to." In the video, Li Xiaoshua was snuggled up next to that slightly chubby man, laughing uncontrollably, saying things like, "I don't need them. I can climb snowy mountains just fine on my own, and they're just jealous of me." There were also scenes of those men getting handsy with her. The classmates around her saw the video, and the murmurs grew louder. So Li Xiaoshua is that kind of person. No wonder something happened to her, being with men like that. It'd be strange if nothing went wrong. Her mother is so unreasonable. It's clearly her daughter's own problem, yet she still tries to blame others. Li Xiaoshua's mother watched the video, her face turning pale and then flushed with anger. Her sobs gradually quieted down. She hadn't expected us to record everything and was momentarily at a loss for words. "Your daughter is an adult. Even you can't control where she goes. We're not related. Why should we be responsible?" Su Yuan stood up, her tone icy. "She chose to go diving. Whatever happened is her own doing. We're not obligated to pay her medical bills." Li Xiaoshua's mother bit her lip. Her eyes filled with resentment, but she could no longer muster a single word demanding our responsibility. She knew that with this video evidence, no matter how much she made a scene, it would be useless and only make herself look worse. She slowly got up from the ground, glared at us fiercely, then turned and slunk away. The surrounding classmates gradually dispersed, and the three of us finally breathed a sigh of relief as we returned to our dorm room. Luckily, Du Feifei recorded the video at the time, otherwise we really wouldn't be able to explain ourselves today. Han Xiao leaned against the door and patted her chest. Du Feifei smiled. "At the time, I just thought Li Xiaoshua would definitely cause trouble, so I casually recorded it. Never expected it would actually come in handy." Su Yuan sat on the chair, took a sip of water. "But I think her mother definitely won't let this go so easily. We still need to be careful." Sure enough, not long after, it was heard that Li Xiaoshua's mother went to the school to make a scene, demanding the school pay her daughter's medical expenses. She even claimed the school failed in supervision, leading to her daughter's incident. But the school wasn't having any of it. The principal called her directly into the office, presented the video taken by Du Feifei, along with other evidence of Li Xiaoshua being with those men, and said, "Student Li Xiaoshua voluntarily went out with others during the holiday, and the accident has nothing to do with the school. The school has no obligation to pay her medical expenses. If you continue to cause trouble here, we will call the police." Li Xiaoshua's mother was left speechless by the principal's rebuttal and started making a scene in the principal's office again. But this time no one paid her any attention. Unexpectedly, a few days later, shocking news spread through the school. Li Xiaoshua's mother had stormed into the principal's office carrying a bucket of gasoline, intending to threaten the principal into paying the medical expenses by dousing him with it. During the ensuing struggle, the lighter in her hand was knocked to the ground by security, and the gasoline ignited instantly. She didn't have time to dodge and was burned by the fire, while the principal and security guards also suffered minor injuries. In the end, Li Xiaoshue's mother was hospitalized and coincidentally placed in the ICU of the same hospital as Li Xiaoshue. When we heard the news, the three of us were reviewing our lessons in the dormitory. She brought it upon herself. Han Xiao put down her book, her tone devoid of any sympathy. If she had faced reality earlier and stopped blaming others, she wouldn't have ended up like this. Du Feifei also nodded. This is retribution. In our past life, she burned us to death, and in this life, she brought the fire upon herself. She got what she deserved. I looked out the window, feeling calm inside. The hatred from our past life and the entanglements of this one finally came to an end as Li Xiaoshue and her mother reaped what they sowed. Later, I heard that Li Xiaoshue suffered severe aftereffects from prolonged oxygen deprivation during diving. Even after being rescued, she was left unable to take care of herself, although her mother survived the rescue. She suffered extensive burns over her body and requires long-term treatment. The family was already struggling financially, and now this has added insult to injury, leaving them reliant on help from relatives and friends. As for the three of us, we successfully completed our studies and graduated. On graduation day, the three of us packed our gear and went to climb a snow-capped mountain. That's all for today's story. If you've listened this far, please leave happy every day in the comments. A little light wishes everyone happiness every day.